today's guest is McCall Jones. If you are living under the rock and if you don't know about McCall Jones is, like, she started with all this like funnel.
Russell, the very first speech he gave, said if you have something that's going to change people's lives, it's your moral responsibility to give it to them.
Like in this space, for almost like 2.5 years or 2 years or so, pre-COVID Funnel Hacking Live. And then, she went on the Funnel Hacking Live stage as a speaker. She crushed it.
We spoke before I spoke at Funnel Hacking Live. I think it was like 3 or 4 months into my business, and I was still figuring everything out. Oh my gosh, thanks for having me the first time, and thanks for having me back.
And, she came in with a new concept of charisma hacking.
It's called competitive charisma, and it literally is the way that you can beat your competitors no matter how big they are.
And so much more as well. She's the queen of charisma hacking.
So I am the co-founder of a company called Charisma Hacking.
And she's the queen of how you articulate your message, how you say it, and all of those things out there. We're going to discuss about it. Please welcome McCall Jones.
Hey, McCall. How are you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm so good. I can't believe you've done 80 episodes since we spoke last. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is insane. It's been over 2 years now, and like time flies like crazy. Like so many things happened in the meantime. Even on your end and in my end as well. We're gonna talk about all of that, but within those 80 episodes, if people were under the rock, if there are new people, a lot of new people came in. Can you walk us through a brief backstory, like how things started for you, and where you are at the moment?
Sure. So I am the co-founder of a company called Charisma Hacking. So Charisma Hacking started in 2020. I saw entrepreneurs at Funnel Hacking Live. I went to support Catherine Jones, my sister-in-law, and I saw these entrepreneurs there that were using video, even in the lobby. And I'm going to be honest, they weren't very good at it. And as I watched them, I was like, wow, I think I can help them. And then Russell, the very first speech he gave, said, if you have something that's going to change people's lives, it's your moral responsibility to give it to them. So that night I went back to my hotel room and I didn't sleep. I registered the domain name charismahacking.com. And I started this journey of kind of how you create charisma and bringing out the charisma that is really inside of you. That next Funnel Hacking Live, like you said, I spoke. And it was so fun. It was so great for Russell to have me. And the time between the first Funnel Hacking Live and the second one, we created this system called Charisma Styles, where people are able to actually tap into the charisma that makes them them and the charisma that attracts their very favorite people to them and stuff immediately. It's crazy. We spend 5 hours with them and everything changes. And those charisma styles, there's one of 54 that everybody is. So much has happened. Like I said, since we spoke last, we spoke before I spoke at Funnel Hacking Live. I think it was like 3 or 4 months into my business and I was still figuring everything out. Oh my gosh. Thanks for having me the first time and thanks for having me back.
Yeah, definitely, a lot of things happen, and you were talking about charisma styles and the rest of the stuff. I remember you were doing Russell Brunson week that time on Everyday Charisma, so Everyday Charisma was something like where, McCall was, trying to break down how people articulate their message, like what they do with their body language and tonalities, like how that idea came along on your end, that you started to break down a lot of like successful entrepreneurs who were in the space. You started to break down how they articulate their message, like what their tonalities look like, or like body language and all that. Like, how that idea came along?
So honestly, the very first thing, so I didn't know anything about business. When I first started, I knew that I knew stuff, right? I grew up as a performer and I had created checklists for myself to be able to basically repeat my success or be charismatic even when I was anxious or even when I was sick or all these different things. So the way that I looked at charisma was just different, right? Or performance, it was just different. And like I said, I knew I had something, but I didn't really know where to start. So I started a Facebook group thinking, maybe I can teach people about this. Russell says do it for free at first. So I started this Facebook group. And in order to bring people into the Facebook group, or when they got there, to really explain what was happening, or what charisma hacking was, I pulled up a video of Russell and I broke it down and I showed what about it made him charismatic. And I explained the things he was doing with his arms and how you could do that too, and the things he was doing with his voice and how you could do that too, simply to just explain what charisma hacking was, trying to get this concept that was in my head out of my head. And the funny thing is that very first video breaking down Russell, somebody sent it to him, and that's how Russell found me online. It was the very first video I ever created with charisma hacking. So he found me, and then he reached out to do the first training that he had me do for 2CCX, and then everything kind of snowballed from there. But that very first breakdown of Russell was really the idea that turned into everyday charisma, because once a week I would go into that Facebook group, our charisma hacking Facebook group, and I would break down somebody else simply to just show the different ways that people were charismatic. It was really the beginning of figuring out what charisma styles really were, and that whole process too. I was breaking these down for people, and in the Facebook group it went crazy and everybody loved it. So I thought, what if I did this every day? What if I did this every day? And I broke down different successful entrepreneurs, and I showed people that these frameworks that I'm teaching them work, and that other people who are already successful actually use them anyway. So I did that, and it connected me with a lot of fun people, and it was really a cool way to show my expertise instead of trying to explain my expertise, which sometimes can be tricky.
Yeah, 100%. Because as I remember, as I mentioned, I was watching that Russell Brunson week, and then moving onward, I was most of the time I was like watching either on live or on replay of other people out there that you started to break down their charisma, like how they're doing it, how their avatar is different, and all. And then couple months down the road, you get asked to speak on Funnel Hacking Live. After that, on the next year, but the time extended a little bit more because of like the COVID and things like that.
Right.
But like, what was the experience look like for you? Because I think so after that, you got a lot of opportunities to speak on a lot of stages,
Yeah.
especially like post Funnel Hacking Live. So how was the experience for you to get on the stage of Funnel Hacking Live?
So here was the cool thing. Everything that I was doing, right, from shows to content to outreach processes to frameworks and all this stuff, we now actually teach that to people, right? We have gone back and said what worked and what didn't, right? It's called competitive charisma, and it literally is the way that you can beat your competitors no matter how big they are. You steal that attention and audiences and customers away from major competitors no matter how big they are. And that's what I was doing, right? It was a combination of, like I said, kind of showing your expertise, creating very specific content, being able to be in your charisma style so that people connect with you immediately. And it was every single thing that shortcutted my success, right? That kind of cut it in half, and then a fourth, and then an eighth, and it was able to go really fast from there. I was very fortunate to have awesome friends and people who believed in me really early on. Me and my husband call it game, recognize game, and all that means is even if somebody is small, when they have something that is real, then amazing things can happen. And I know Russell very early on, bless that man, he's amazing. But Russell very early on saw that charisma hacking really was something. It really was something that could help people, and it really was something that people needed. Even though, at the time I had like 300 people in a Facebook group, and from there it was just a matter of saying, okay, this thing is amazing. How can we get it to as many people as possible in actually a really strategic way? So you're not just publishing content every single day, as kind of everybody else was. It was strategic content, like I said, that connected with the right people.
Yeah. So true. You mentioned something which was, super interesting, that it was strategic content. A lot of people out there, they think like, or they misunderstand, what Russell talk about the concept of publishing. They think about like, hey, publish 365 days in a row, like your life gonna change, but they are not, either improving themselves or have an idea like why they're even publishing. And they still remain the same for the next 365 days out there. they was doing it for the sake of doing it. So like, why you think so people don't come with either with an agenda or with a plan or with an idea down the road, not even like in the early start, like moving ahead, so that they could get even clarity about what their content should be all about? What do you think
Uh,
about it?
I'm going to be honest, I don't actually think it's their fault based on what they have heard in the space so far. And what I mean by that is I literally just did a 6-hour training for Russell. And at the very beginning, I had people, well, I told people they were going to rip out a page of expert secrets and throw it in the air. And Russell was in the audience, and I just tried not to make eye contact with him. And the reason for that is there's like a paragraph in Expert Secrets that talks about finding your voice. And
Yep.
what everybody else has thought of the process of finding your voice is just publish, right? Until you feel like you are comfortable on camera or something like that. And I just don't believe in that, right? Finding your voice isn't a matter of getting comfortable on camera, because you can be comfortable on camera and still be actually really bad at it. It's just you stumble less and things like that. Instead, I found my voice immediately because I knew charisma styles even before that process was kind of well thought out. And it's being able to connect with people immediately. The reason why I say that is because I think a lot of people, they publish over and over and over and over and over again, and they have to re-get customers as they get better on video because they see them the first time and they leave because they're like, this isn't for me, right? Instead, when you connect with people immediately, you're constantly building an audience, right? People see you one time and they stay, right? So that's the first thing, right? Making sure that you are yourself, or as we say, in your charisma styles. The second piece with the
Yep.
content piece, I think a lot of people think like you have to serve your audience, which is true. But most of the time, the content they're creating is self-serving, even though they're like, I'm providing a ton of value because I'm telling the stories from my life and different things like that. Instead of saying, what are you willing to actually give away for free that's going to help people? So once they achieve something, they come back for more. That's what everyday charisma was. People would come and they'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm already better on video than I was yesterday because of this show. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, I can't give anything away for free because if I do, then nobody's going to buy my stuff, right? It's looking at the difference between self-serving and like actual valuable content that isn't saying how is this valuable for me, but it's saying what does somebody actually get out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's really amazing. And yeah, like with executives that time, in order to make sure you were able to make your point clear for the audience is definitely so true. Like for me, like when I even started out, I didn't had a lot of clarity, but I had an idea of like I'm gonna start, like I will try to build like a good amount of connections using the podcast. I started out without having any idea, and later down the road I started to optimize the process, how it can be more valuable to the audience, a little bit to me as well, and not to be all about myself, like asking my own selfish questions all the time
Yeah.
into it. Things get transition over time if people really learn like how to do it essentially.
Yeah. It's knowing the strategy behind it, right? With everyday charisma, like it for a lot of people, it felt like McCall's going live again. Like, this is crazy. She's on Facebook. But like the reasons why I was doing everyday charisma, like I said, was to show my expertise, right? The same way that
Exactly.
when you interview people, RJ, like people know based on even the intelligent and awesome questions that you're asking, that you're truly an expert at something, right? It's not just I'm going to go live again and I'm going to talk to my friends, right? There has to be a strategy behind every single thing. And if it's not drawing people to you, it's actually pushing people away from you, right? Just like going live and talking about your dog, or like talking about random things in your business, or even like telling your origin story. When you do it the wrong way, you're actually driving people away from you, right? So it's remembering those strategies and making sure that you learn the right ones.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of that, as you mentioned about like you spoke on funnel hacking live stage, and then moving forward, you start to spoke on other stages as well. Public speaking is definitely one thing out there, which is a lot of people hold fear about that. It
Yeah.
is, I think it is number second most feared thing. Fear of death is like seventh or something like that.
It's like number two.
It's insane. But like, what do you think about it? Like, why people fear about public speaking a lot, and I know definitely charisma hacking have something to remove those type of frictions for people so they can become themselves and become the part of a better leader. So like, what do you think about it? Like, why people get afraid of it? Like, how should people go on a stage
Yeah,
and crush it?
totally. That's a great question. I honestly, I don't think I don't think being on stage is that different. I'll talk about the differences, but I don't think it's that different than being on video because of what you're talking about. I think everything comes back to the fear of rejection. I think people are afraid that people will not accept them or mock them or ignore them
Yep.
or all these things, And when you master, I wouldn't say master, I don't know if I'm all the way over the fear of rejection, but when you think about the fear of rejection and you say, okay, well, if I am prepared, and I truly believe in that, I am prepared. I will say I'm a professional who has spoken on a lot of stages now, and I still prepare, right? I will still be backstage going over the intro of my speech out loud because I know it's important, right? And I think it's respectful to the event holder and host to be prepared, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to be prepared no matter what level I'm at, right? The second thing is making sure that you have practiced being nervous, if that makes sense. I know this is kind of a weird concept, but it's saying, okay, have I done this speech or this framework or this story in front of other people already? Right? When by the time you get to Funnel Hacking Live stage, you should have told those exact stories, taught those exact frameworks, and been able to tweak them so you're very confident in them when you get on stage. When I spoke at Funnel Hacking Live, I had a crew of people. Shout out to my whittle crew. I literally called it my whittle crew because I was whittling down the speech. And you have 27 minutes when you speak at Funnel Hacking Live. And at first,
Yep.
I had 2-hour workshops every day trying to whittle down that content, seeing what made sense, what people resonated with, not only practicing the speaking part of it, but actually getting more and more confident about what I was saying, right? Making sure it resonated with people, things like that. So it's like, okay, if I am prepared, if I have actually, if I have confidence in the frameworks that I'm teaching, I know it already resonates with people. I don't have to guess when I'm on stage if people understand what I'm saying. I don't have to guess when I'm on stage if that specific audience from that specific niche wants what I'm saying either, right? So prepare, practice, even frameworks, prove those frameworks before you present them to people. And then breathe, breathe. When you're backstage, breathe, right? It's one of those things that it's really fun. It's really fun, and very quickly you can turn it into what if they don't like me, right? And then you stop
Yeah.
breathing, and then bad things happen, right? It's yeah. I practice, prove those frameworks, and then I always say I'm gonna speak to the speakers. I'm gonna speak to the audience, and I'm talking about something I made up. If I say it wrong, listen, I always know how to come back to the core things because I prepped everything before that.
Yeah, I remember Devon Brown once, like, he said that if somebody's like sitting in the audience, they want you to win on
Totally.
the other side. Yeah, because
Totally.
they will get the value out of it
Yeah.
either ways, and that's definitely true. Like getting prepared, and like when we were interviewing Russell Brunson, he was also talking about this concept of like changing the word anxiety to excited.
Oh yeah.
Don't say like I'm anxious, because you're just using that phrase in order to pump up your emotions, how you're thinking about it. So instead, go
Yeah.
from anxious to excited. Like it changed things a lot in different ways as well.
Yeah.
So when I watched your presentation at Funnel Hacking Live, it was first of all amazing. It was so unique. There was a lot of things out there that we feel like, we're consuming McCall content. It's
Mm.
not gonna be like that. But there were a lot of new things. I was on my notes, and,
Oh
and
yeah.
things like that. Uh, like, have you thought about or worked with a framework like that, or you created different, I would say, traits or characters for different people out there, and decided, okay, that could be something for one person, that could be something for other person out there? Like, how you come up with that idea around charisma styles?
So this is a great question. So just to clarify, so with a charisma style, you are actually your same charisma styles all the time, right? The concept of create a character for different people, we believe in the exact opposite of that, right? And I know a lot of people are like, oh man, it should be your alter ego, like Sasha Fierce, whatever that is. And we just don't believe in
Yeah.
that, right? We think you are your charisma styles all the time. So the way that we actually created this, I'm going to give you the fast version and it'll still be kind of long, just so you know. So the fast version is I taught one-on-one coaching for a really long time, about a year, right? And between that, I would do one-on-one coaching. And then I was like, this is awesome. I got major results for people, which was so fun, right? We 12x click-through rates and we tripled revenue and we just had crazy results across the board, right? And when I was getting those crazy results, I kept thinking, oh, I should do a group coaching program or a course or something like that. So one of these group coaching programs, it was called the Pumps Club. I put it together and I tried to coach people the same. I'd show up one week and I would just focus on one person, coach, and then they would leave. And then the next week they would come, and what I taught that one person worked for a specific set of people, and then the rest of them, it would backfire and it didn't work. And we had to start to look at why. I shut down that program and I went back to one-on-one coaching because I was like, not everybody is succeeding in this program. And it's crazy. You know, one week it would be, you got to go bigger and you got to be louder and you got to do all this stuff, which would work for certain people. The very next week, somebody else would be focused on it and be like, oh, you got to go smaller. Like, what are you doing with your arms? And those people would succeed. But it was never a full group thing. So I went back to one-on-one coaching. And then I was sitting in my office and my husband's office was right next door to me or right next door to mine. And he was listening to some of my calls, some of my coaching calls. And he walked into my office after I had done 2 in a row. And he said, listen, you just coached those people exactly opposite. You told one to go bigger, one to go smaller, one to go louder, one to go softer. Why did you do that? And I was like, listen, every person is different. You have to coach them differently. Otherwise it won't work. And he was like,
Yeah.
okay. So he listened to my calls for the next 2 weeks and he brought in this notepad of notes. And he said, listen, I've been listening to you now coach a gajillion people, and you actually don't coach every person different. There's only a specific amount of things that you say. You just say them in a different order or combine them differently. And I was like, okay, interesting. He's like, there are patterns here. So we went back through all of my coaching calls. We had 1,000 data points, right? We did coaching calls, all of Everyday Charisma episodes. I charisma hacked 1,000 people, and then I did 500 interviews. And then I went to Clubhouse and I was charisma hacking people there. And we just had all of this data of like, how would I train this person? Would I train them with them or them? How would I train this person? Would I train them with them or them? And we put it into this thing called a K-cluster analysis algorithm. And it told us the different ways that I train and the different ways that people succeed. And there were 54, right? It was 3 styles of authority. And when you use the right one, it works. When you use the wrong one, it doesn't, right? 3 styles of compassion. When you use the right one, it works. When you use the wrong one, it doesn't. And 6 styles of entertainment. When you use the right one, it works. When you use the wrong one, it doesn't. And those combinations, right? A combination of all 12 of those charisma styles makes up who you are. So we had this system. And we had all of this data, and the place that we actually talked about it for the first time officially, because it took us like 6 months to create, was Funnel Hacking Live. So on stage at Funnel Hacking Live, that's where we launched Charisma Styles, which was so fun. And since then, we have realized that the improvement when you're in your styles and when you learn your styles is actually instantaneous, right? It actually happens so fast because there's so much data behind it, because we're teaching you how to be yourself.
Yeah. Like, first of all, like, Tanner, you're amazing. Second of all, yeah, that's so true. Like, since you've tested out the things out there and you defined, like, it wasn't working like that, they have to have an alter way to make things work out. And yeah, like, this is definitely amazing. So one of the things I want to ask about is, like, what are you guys working on right now with the people?
Great question. So the first thing that we got really good at once we knew Charisma Styles, and really with my one-on-one coaching too, was making people better on video. I will tell you, are the best in the world at that. We are so good at making people better on video. So then what we did is we said, I think my actual superpower in this world is is the willingness to evolve. I will say it. I like to evolve. I like to change it. If it's not working, we change it. The cool thing is, once we were so good at making people better on video, instead of something that was broken that we had to fix, we said, how do we serve our people even more? How do we take them to the next level? And how do we teach them to do what I was able to do so fast? So we went a step further and we said, okay, our very favorite people that we've helped get better on video, why do they want to get better on video? What are they actually using better on video for? And what we realized is the reason why they wanted to get better on video was to crush their competitors, was to take the attention and audiences away from their competitors, right? They would think to themselves, my stuff is so good. Why are they getting attention, right? My stuff is so awesome. Why are people who are bigger than me with a bigger following the ones that are asked to speak on these stages, right? How are people coming in and swooping my audience when I'm trying so hard to publish over and over and over again, right? There were all of these pain points that we saw. So what we did is we took our better on video superpower skills and we combined it with all of the tactics that I had been doing, not only with my one-on-one coaching clients before, but throughout Charisma Styles and my own process that I kind of came up in the business world with. And we have this thing called competitive charisma. So competitive charisma, the entire focus of it is every single strategy and why you get better on video and how you get better on video is to steal attention and audiences and customers away from your competitors, no matter how big they are, to make sure that you are the face of your niche. That's what we're working on, and it's amazing.
Yeah, well, this is so cool. So if people are like, hey, this is us, like this is us, we want to go, we want to go and crush our competitors and be the one, there are a lot of successful people out there who are pretty good in terms of like the video, the way they articulate their message, the way they use their body language. It is amazing, and there's definitely a lot of things behind that. So if somebody who's willing to learn how to do it, like where people can go and be the part of it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The cool thing, so charismahacking.com, folks, that's where you go. But the cool thing that we found, right, when I said like our very favorite people to work with, it's actually a problem, a pain point for people who have been trying to do it for a long time. It's not something that only, I guess, beginners are facing. I know everybody wants to do that, but it's the people who are saying, why am I not getting picked? Why am I not getting picked? Why isn't this happening to me? I had this man, I'll tell a quick story, but I had this man, I spoke Funnel Hacking Live day 2. The night before, Miles needed my slides. Miles does all the events at ClickFunnels. Hi, Miles. And I didn't have a flash drive, so my friend met me at the bottom of the elevator. And as I turned the corner, it's like 3 a.m. This group of very large, very drunk men saw me and recognized me, which was crazy. And one of them pointed at me. He was hammered. He was so drunk. And he was like, there she is. This isn't fair. And I like froze. I was like, what is happening? And he started walking towards me, which was scary, by the way. And he started shouting, I've been publishing for 5 years. Why did you get asked to speak at Funnel Hacking Live and not me? Right. And he went on and on and on until I ran for the elevator because that was very terrifying. And I think that he doesn't have a unique experience, right? He's been trying to do this for a long time and he's not getting picked, right? He's like, I'm not the one on that stage, but I have paid my dues. I'm not the one on that stage, yet I have also been going live on Facebook every day for this long. I have also created frameworks that I know people love. I also have a die-hard group of people, even if it's smaller than I want, that likes my stuff. Why am I not getting picked? Why? And when we looked at that, we help people get picked. It's not only, like I said, a beginner problem. We look at it as an amplification of, we help the good guys win. We help the good guys win.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're a good guy, hey, come be a competitive charisma person because it's so fun.
Yeah, like the people who are problem aware, as you mentioned, or like kind of like frustrated, like, hey, that they think about like they have to be a problem. Something is wrong. Something like that, right?
Yeah. They're also like, my competitor is too big, right? How could I ever take down this person, right? My competitor is too big. Their fans like them too much, right? All these different things when it's just not true, right? It's just not
Hmm.
true. Everybody has vulnerabilities, everybody has weaknesses. And talking about strategic content again, when you actually have the strategies, you're not just publishing random content to try to build an audience, right? Every number that comes into your audience, whether it be follower count or subscribers or whatever, it matters, right? They matter and they're moving towards a goal, which is, an actual audience member of your content, of your programs, of your offer, instead of just random views from people who are never going to pay you money, right? We say, okay, yeah, we want to make sure that you can do it at every level. Like I said, even part of the offers, no matter how big they are, no matter how big those competitors are, we take them down.
Yeah, love it. So I will post up the link in the description down below, also in the show notes for charismahacking.com. If anybody want to go in and they're frustrated about not getting the outcome, again, like problem aware market or problem aware people out there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, McCall, thank you so much for being on the show today out there. Any last thing that you want to say before we round the show up?
I got to tell you, RJ, you're a rock star. This has been so fun to see you go from the first interview that we had, it was kind of the beginning of my business, and you were so kind to have me on, like I said. And I mean, you got Russell to do your 100th episode. That's so awesome, right? You've had a lot of big people on it. And I just want to say you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. I'm so proud of you. You're doing wonderful things. And everybody go to charismahacking.com.
Yeah, well, truly, I really appreciate like what you've done, like, and especially in the past 2 years out there. I was like also fortunate enough to see like how things started out in your journey out there, how you were
Oh,
able to crush it, like how you went on and
thanks.
got the opportunity. It was definitely well deserved. First of all,
Hey.
complete hard work because I saw you crush like especially with the everyday charisma, like every single day with a lot of guests and a lot of work required
Yeah.
to get things done right, like that. So I truly appreciate you for that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's like I said, it was content that people used, which was great. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, amazing. Well, McCall, thank you so much once again for being on the show. And thank you guys for watching. We're definitely going to see you guys in the next episode. Until then, peace out. Bye bye.
Bye.